All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. As always, I'm absolutely thrilled that you are here. If you've never checked us out before, we are primarily an interview and a commentary-based podcast. Today, we have an interview for you. On the line with me is Jerry Zezima. Jerry, welcome to the program. You've been here before. Great to have you again.
Well, it's great to be back, Billy. I thank you for being a glutton for punishment by inviting me back. Also, I would like to compliment you on pronouncing my last name correctly. You've had 2 years to work on that, and it's paid off. So thank you.
I finally got it. So we're good there. I'll tell you, as far as the regular listeners go to the program, we've covered a lot of serious topics here lately, which is great. I love the controversial stuff too. But today, Jerry is a humor writer, and his 7th book is currently out. It's called The Good Humor Man: Tales of Life, Laughter, and for Dessert, Ice Cream. This book is filled with true stories about family foibles and the funny little things of everyday life, the kind of stuff that everybody can relate to. So, I mean, it's not complicated, and it's a welcome respite. Just kind of like I've alluded to, it's a welcome respite from all of the bad things going on these days. When the going gets tough, the tough eat ice cream. That's Jerry's line. Well, what's your favorite flavor, Jerry?
Actually, it's just plain vanilla.
Really?
Yeah, my my wife Sue likes all different kinds. She has ice cream every night for dessert, and what she does is she'll take it out of the freezer, put it in a bowl, and nuke it
Oh,
for 5, maybe 6 seconds. So it's
yeah.
the consistency she likes. It depends if my grandchildren are over, if they want ice cream, what flavor they want. I'll go into chocolate, but mainly vanilla. Rainbow sprinkles really help too.
Yeah, I got to say, sometimes the simple flavors, vanilla and chocolate, they're hard to beat.
Yeah,
I do like butter pecan. I'm kind of partial to butter pecan. I get a craving for that every once in a while.
I like that. Strawberry is good too.
Awesome.
This the I came up with the title of this book first.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, well, okay, so what direction is it going to go in? And I remember as a kid, which now is many, many years ago, the Good Humor Man coming around in the ice cream truck, and I thought, there you go. I'll peg it to ice cream. But more than that, I wanted it to be something that people could read, could laugh or chuckle or smile with. And, there's so much bad stuff going on
Yeah,
these days, some
there
divisiveness
sure is.
and negativity. I thought, this might be like ice cream. It
Yeah,
won't solve all the world's problems, but it's a nice diversion. So,
it's a nice diversion. It's cold and it is very soothing. Now, what part of the world are you in, Jerry?
what part of the world? I'm in my part of the world, which is my office, which is in my home, which is on Long Island, New York.
Okay. Long Island. Well, no, New York. Not much happens there, does it? And it's kind of a
No,
boring place.
no, it
Yeah.
is. It is. I'm in the part of New York. It's called Coram. It's a nice place. I call it the city that never wakes. So it's quiet. A lot of traffic. It's fun to see people blow through the stop sign in front of my house. But other than that, it's not exactly Manhattan. As I told you last time I was on, originally I'm from Stamford, Connecticut. So
Okay.
I moved to Long Island, my wife and I, going on 26 years now. I tell people I'm wanted by the police in Connecticut, so we moved here.
A humor writer. You've been doing that for quite a while. How did you get started with that? And you know what? A question I always ask is, what's the difference between telling jokes and writing humor? Because I get some interesting answers with that one.
Well, usually you tell jokes when you're standing up. You write
Okay.
humor when you're sitting down. So I'm not really into exercise, so I like to sit down. You know, being a humorist, or you write a humor column as I do, it's like doing stand up comedy, except you don't have to show up, which is
There
very
you go.
convenient. Yep. Um, my kind of stuff is, I want to evoke uh, laughs or chuckles or smiles. It's harder to do in print because you've been a stand-up comic,
Yeah.
and you've done that, and you know that when you do that, it's joke, joke, and funny lines, and you're looking for the instant payoff.
Yes.
Me, I write my column, and my columns go into my books, and I'll get some very nice reaction from people across the country, but it's kind of delayed.
Yeah.
Um, as you know, when you're working a crowd, you know instantly how you're doing.
Yes.
So
Yeah, the feedback can help you, or it can distract you too.
yeah,
There's been times when I've been in front of a crowd and I haven't done stand up in a while, but I would just be saying something, setting up a joke, and people would start laughing. And I didn't know what triggered it,
yeah,
and then I'd go
yeah,
for the punchline and nothing.
right. Well,
So
so you know how that works with me, with a column. Let's say I'm working on a column,
yeah,
and I mean it's supposed to be funny, and I like to think that pretty much all the time it is, to varying degrees. But one of four things will happen: either you dash it off, it comes out your fingertips, and you've hit it out of the park.
hmm,
The second is you dash it off, comes out your fingertips, and you go back, say, this needs work, and you
hmm,
work at it, and you finally get it the way you want. The third is you work and you revise and you keep at it, and it takes seemingly forever, and finally it's workable and you like the way it came out. And the fourth scenario is nothing you do can save it. It just,
yeah.
it's hit or miss sometimes. But the the goal is, again, to make people laugh or chuckle or smile. And again, these days I think it's something that people want and need. So
My understanding is the book is I'm going to say short stories or little essays. How would you describe
yeah,
it?
they're it's pretty much a themed collection of the columns that, or most of the columns that I wrote or have written since my previous book came out. That
Okay.
one was one for the ageless, and this one, if you don't mind, because I'm not really the world's best salesman, this is it. It's for those of you who can see this. Later on, it's on audio, and you won't be able to. But anyway, it's the Good Humor Man, and it's, as you said, and it's family foibles, the funny little things of everyday life. It's stuff that people can relate to. Um, the previous book was themed more for people of a certain age. This, I think, will cover more ground, and possibly appeal to even younger people too, because they go through this kind of stuff that I do. I just
Sure.
take things one step further than any normal person would take them, because I'm not normal.
Sure. Well, who is?
No, that's
Yeah.
true.
The thing I was going to say about a book like this that's really convenient for today's busy schedule. It's not like a novel, which has a lot of, let's say, a mystery where there's a lot of intricate details that you have to absorb over a long period of time. With
Yeah,
a
I
book,
think
with a book like this, you can just sit down and take a stab at it and pick something and get a few laughs at it and set it down for the next time.
right. I think the mystery about my stuff is why I'm still doing it. But
Mm,
that's another that's
yeah.
another story. But yeah, it's like six, seven, 750 word columns or essays. So they're themed by, in chapters. So the chapters are themed. But yeah, people can pick them up. Read a couple of columns, two, three, four at a time. Um, if they start dozing off, then they have to stop. But yeah, it's not like a novel, and
Right.
I don't. People have said, well, why don't you write a novel, or why don't you write a screenplay or a children's book? And the answer is, I don't do those things for the best reason I could think of. I don't want to.
Mm.
I love doing this. I
Yeah.
love writing humor. I could write a novel, but it would have the worst possible result.
Mm.
It would be mediocre,
Mm.
not good enough to be great, not bad enough to be good. Just kind of nah. And I just don't want to do it. I don't really have it in me, I don't think.
Yeah.
And there's so many people who are very, very good at it. I like my own little corner. So,
Sure. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all
no,
have our niche, as they say,
yes.
and that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. You mentioned how laughter and positivity can be a tonic for troubled times, and there's a lot of uncertainty going on these days. That is for sure. You and I are both. I'll say we're not kids anymore. I'm going to say this is one of the worst times. Not that we've been through a depression or anything like that, but it always seemed like despite people's differences, despite people's arguments, they both lived in the same reality.
Hmm.
And it seems like now people are dangerously on the fringes. It's not just a few of them either; it's a lot of them. They've
Hmm.
created their own reality, and there's no reasoning. And I'm not picking on any ideology, right or left, or anything in between.
Right.
There's just a lot of people that they have their mindset about how the world should be, and you're not going to tell them different. And I don't remember a time like this. So a lot of people are just avoiding the news. They're avoiding, a lot of these other kind of things. And laughter is something that we kind of take for granted, but it really is very important. We concentrate a lot on diet. A lot of people worry about what they eat. They worry about exercise. But humoring the soul is something that we don't hear a whole lot about. So would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. I mean, from the neck up, that's part of the body too.
Yep.
And people say, well, you're as you said, well, oh, I should go on a diet, or I want to eat more healthfully. Um, but the old saying, "Laughter is the best medicine," is true.
Yeah.
It's also the cheapest.
Yep.
But yeah, it's something that I think we need now more than ever. I mean, we've always needed it, um, but um, it's a tough time. It's a tough environment, and that's what I had in mind when I picked the theme of this book, of the Good Humor Man, because I think people just need a laugh or a chuckle or a smile. Not that it's going to make them or help them escape everything.
All
You
right.
really can't. But
No.
maybe it helps give perspective or helps people cope with difficult things.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. This seems to be an extraordinarily divisive time and a difficult time, but it's not the only divisive and difficult time people have ever been through. I mean, every
No.
generation says, "Oh, things couldn't be worse. When I was younger, things were better." Well, you talk with people who lived through the Great Depression, and that was followed by World War II. That was no picnic.
No.
The 1960s, I was a kid then. Tremendous social upheaval. Yet we managed to get through it, and we'll
Hmm.
get through this. But I do think, again, humor, perspective, kindness, all those positive things will help I hope, cancel out all the negativity.
Yeah. And I think you have to get away from it. Obviously a book like yours is a good way to do that. Sometimes it can be just a walk in the park, doing something that you don't normally do. I think a lot of times people get so focused on what's happening around them that they lose their perspective. So this idea that laughter and positivity is a good tonic that's a great message right there. I mean, that's very, very positive. Let me see the name of the book one more time before we continue on. The Good Humor Man,
Good humor, man.
Tales of Life, Laughter, and for dessert, ice cream. The author is Jerry Zezima, and I'll spell that for you when you're looking it up. It's Zezima. What do you hope we kind of touched on this, but what do you hope the reader takes away from the book? I mean, I know these are it's a very harmless type of humor. I mean, you don't get into any mean spirited stuff, or you're
No,
not,
no.
putting anybody down. So it's not only funny, but I would guess that there's a good feel good element too, because it is harmless. It's not something that's going to put someone else down, or is humor that it is at someone else's expense.
Right. I don't believe in cruel or mean spirited humor. I write good natured, self deprecating stuff,
Yeah.
and I poke fun at myself. If I write about other people, it's always with a positive spin. If I have a negative experience, I just don't write about it.
Yeah.
I don't write about politics. I don't write about world affairs, um, the economy, except if the price of beer goes up. Um, but
And
you
it
know,
might.
yeah, but it's everyday life stuff. I think there are two ways to make people laugh.
Okay.
One is a surprise. It comes out of left field. It's like the punchline to a joke. Takes you by surprise and you laugh. The other is the exact opposite. It's the familiar.
Hmm.
See yourself in it and you laugh at the recognition and the familiarity. And you say, that's me. You know, this guy must be living in our house. And I've gotten that. It's like you're living in our house. And my response to that is actually, yes, I am living in your house, and you're out of beer. So go buy some more. But this is really what I do.
Yeah.
It's stuff that almost everybody goes through, no matter what age, men, women. Um, it's kids. It's in my case, grandchildren.
Sure.
It's stuff around the house. My I've been blessed with a wonderful family. My wife is. I mean, we've been married going on 46 years almost, and I think I told you last time, if it weren't for my wife, I would be either dead or in prison.
Yeah.
So she's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I
Oh.
write a lot about family, but
Hmm.
it's again with warmth and love, and I poke fun at myself.
Yeah. Does your wife or your family ever say when something happens around the house, okay, I don't want to be a part of some story? Does that ever happen?
Oh, yeah. Um, I mean, especially when my daughters were younger. I think I told you last time. When they were in school, people would say to them, "Is your father the guy who writes that silly column in the paper?" And they roll their eyes and say, "Yeah, that's him." But
Yeah.
it's all stuff that is warm and good natured. My wife has said there's no secrets in our family, and
Yeah.
really there aren't. I mean, listen, in every family you have things going on that
Yeah.
it's their private matter, but something funny will happen. I mean, I can get something funny out of like the smallest things. I wrote a recent column about how long it takes me to make lunch. And by the time I'm done, it's like time for dinner. Or
Yeah.
my wife's asking me what I want for dinner. I mean, stuff like that. There's another thing that happened recently. Recently, I had a milestone birthday,
Okay.
and it ends in a zero, begins in a seven.
Mm.
So I turned 70.
Yeah.
Now, the next day, I swear to God, I got an email from some company urging me to buy burial insurance. And I've kept getting these emails, not just about that, but about hearing aids and walk-in bathtubs and hip and knee replacements, and of course, naturally, a little light bulb goes off, and what passes for my mind, and I say, "There's a column,"
Yeah.
and it could be almost anything. So
Mm.
I I wrote a column about that. Um, we had we had trees taken down. I mean, okay, not the most exciting thing in the world, but I got a column out of that. It could be anything, and this is the kind of stuff that happens to pretty much everybody.
Sure.
So I mean, that's what I do.
Where can people find the book?
They can find the book probably under the couch, um, or before that happens, they can go to Amazon. Amazon is the best place for that. It's new, so I don't think it's on Barnes and Noble yet. It should be,
Okay.
but Amazon is the best place. Actually, it was Amazon Publishing that published the book. So um,
Oh, okay.
that's the place to go.
The Good Humor Man tells of life, laughter, and for dessert, ice cream. Author Jerry Zezima. Where can people find you online? I mean, I know you have a blog and some other things.
Right. I have a blog. The blog is my name, jerryzezima.blogspot.com. I'm on uh, Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter or X or whatever it is now. It should be Z, then it would be mine.
Yeah, there you go.
Next door, which is a local one. But and my column runs in about 600 newspapers
Wow.
nationwide and abroad. Yeah, through Tribune News Service. So I don't know if it runs in all of them in print, many of them in print, but in all of those, it's online. So um, you could Google me, I guess,
Sure.
and I'll
How
be there.
do how do you get feedback from all of that? Do you get like emails or
Yes,
yeah?
I get a lot of reaction from, I mean, nice reaction, I must say. Well, I don't have to say it, but I did.
Hmm.
Um, from readers across the country. I mean, I've been exchanging emails from somebody from Indiana. There was somebody from Arizona, um, the Carolinas, Missouri, uh, all over the place, California.
Hmm.
And it's very nice. It's very gratifying um, to get that kind of reaction. And so I love that. I love knowing that people get pleasure or joy or
Oh
laughter
yeah.
out of what I do.
Yeah, that has to be a really good aspect to what you do, knowing that so many people have been affected emotionally. I don't mean necessarily like crying or impacted, but they just feel good reading your stuff. They get a good laugh, and that is a good way to make a living, Jerry.
Yes.
You do a good job at it. I have no doubt you've been at it a long time, and boy, nobody has the reach you do without knowing what you're doing. So,
Well,
with it,
it's the
go
only
ahead.
thing I know what I'm doing about. Everything else, I have no clue, which
Yes,
actually helps me
yes.
in my writing. But I come from a family that puts a premium on humor. my parents, I would say growing up, but of course you've already discerned that I haven't grown up. But when I was a kid, and then moving on into the 20s, and now 70, my family, my parents, my late father was a really funny guy, but uh, never in a cruel or mean spirited way.
Sure.
My mother is going to be 100 in
Wow.
November.
Wow.
And yeah, and she has a great sense of humor, positive attitude. I tell people, and I've written this, she's sharper than I am. I mean, so are houseplants, but still, she's very impressive. And my sisters have great senses of humor too. So, a lot of people say, if you're a humorist or a comedian, oh, you had to have had a difficult upbringing or tragedy in your life, and you mine humor out of that. Some people do, and some people do it very well, but you don't have to. I think it's mine is more of like a celebratory kind of thing.
Well,
Uh, yeah.
that's
So
fan that's all fantastic stuff. Parting shot. We get a lot of people that listen to authors who are writers themselves. Not all of them are humor writers, but a lot of people are interested in technique. As far as tips go, do you make notes throughout the day on little pads, and then you kind of assemble the best ones at some point? What's the way you assemble your ideas?
well, I assemble. I'll tell you about an upcoming column, or two upcoming columns. One is I went to car wash. Now I told
Hmm.
you that we had some trees taken down. So um, trees were hit by lightning. They just fell over in our yard. It's like they were drunken revelers. Over
Hmm.
the years, we finally had something done. We have this big oak out front, and there's a huge branch overhanging the driveway.
Hmm.
And the birds would, of course, have a field day on our cars, especially my wife's car, which is closer to the house. So that branch came down, and my wife said, now the birds won't poop on my car anymore. Well, they must have been really ticked off that we had that branch cut down, because a whole flock of them must have hovered over her car, and
Oh
it looked
no.
like buckshot all over her car. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take your car to the car wash. Took it to the car wash, started talking to the guy or the guys
Yeah.
there. And the owner of the car wash, wonderful guy. He has been many things in his career, including working at a diamond mine in Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, the little light bulb went off, and I said, "You have an interesting story here." And he also allowed me to help clean the car, which, my wife was extremely impressed by, that I actually cleaned her car. So I'll get a column out of that.
Yeah.
But it's a small thing, but you see something or you talk to somebody, and I I wrote down notes, of course, and I'm accurate. I don't make things up. Everything I write about is real. It might be some exaggeration here,
Sure.
of course,
Yeah.
but I went back. I typed my notes into the computer, and they're there. And next column will be about that. Um, so anything I see, maybe I'll jot down, a line or two. But I don't keep a diary, but I always
Hmm.
carry a notebook around with
Hmm.
me, except in the shower. But it's it's something I'm always on the lookout for. So yes, I will write down notes, and or I'll just remember something, or something will trigger a memory that
Yeah.
I'll write about. So I mean,
Interesting.
every writer has his or her own way
Yeah.
of
And
doing
you got to develop that. You got to keep at it and develop that. And sooner or later, you'll find something that works for you. I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
it. Yeah.
We've been talking to Jerry Zezima, and the book is called The Good Humor Man: Tales of Life, Laughter, and for dessert, ice cream. Who can argue with ice cream?
No.
Jerry, always fun to talk to you. You got obviously a certain slant on things. The self-deprecation is, you have your own style for that. It works. Thank you very much for coming on. I wish you nothing but good luck with this book. And you'll have to check back with this. Let us know how it's doing.
I will, Billy, and thank you for having me on. I'll let you know when the next book comes out, probably another couple of years. I keep writing them because nobody has stopped me.
Oh,
So, but yeah, I hope this one catches on, and I hope it helps people get through kind of a tough time.
absolutely. And laughter truly is the best medicine. My name is Billy Dees. You can find me on X, which is the platform formerly known as Twitter. At Billy D's, real easy to find. That's kind of like my social media home. I'm on a lot of other things too, real easy to find. You could just search Billy D's. I come right up on all the major podcast platforms. Just search for the Billy D's podcast and we will come up. Thank you very much for listening to our program today, and we will talk to you again next week.